Yeah, this one's been going around on social media for a little while now, and it always comes to me, and I always shake my head that why would you go to this thing if you're one of those people who are very sensitive about everything? Why would you do it? And then why would you put yourself in the worst possible position when you do it? So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about those cruise ships and cruise lines out there that have a dedicated comedy club, like the Punchline Comedy Club. First off, they're comedians, and some comedians, like the one we just saw on the Princess Cruise Lines, they do crowd work. And so their whole thing that they want to do is to ask questions to the audience and make jokes about it, right? That's their stick. That's what they do. So if you sit anywhere where they can see you or respond to something that a comedian asks, they're going to zero in on you and they're going to try and find something funny. Whether it's embarrassing to you or anything or hurtful or whatever it is, they're going to make fun of it. And so I don't get why people do this and then complain about it. Why do you go to a comedy club and then complain about the material? It's like going to a Broadway show and saying, and then writing and saying, oh, I just hated that song that they played in the third act. It was a horrible song. I never play that again. Take it out of the show. Does anyone do that? No. But they'll certainly call and complain to the cruise lines and say, hey, I didn't like the joke that in that segment that comedian was saying, or that comedian was talking too raunchy or too sexuality, or he wasn't politically correct when he was making jokes. You're at a comedy club. That's comedy, folks. That really is. That's comedy. Comedy is sometimes, when people laugh, it's not always because they find something really, really funny. Sometimes you laugh out of almost like nervousness. It's like a nervous laugh, right? And that's something that comedians use as well. And some comedians out there make a living at trying to upset you and just, going after the, some things and going after it hardcore. And you may have a political point. You may have a social point that I'm I'm a vegan, so I don't like people making jokes about vegan, or I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community and I don't like them making jokes about that, or I'm part of this race and I live in this part of the country and I don't like them making jokes about that. Like, I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm just shy of being in Newfoundland, and all growing up we heard Newfoundland jokes, right? It's just part of life. It's part of life. And I understand people say, you know what? I don't want to hear jokes about this. Okay, then don't go to the comedy club. No one's forcing you to attend the comedy club. And then if you're a person who also gets upset with this very, very easy, why do you sit in the front row? A person recently on John Heel complained to John Heel about the comedy club and said he sat in the front row and then was upset with the material what are you doing in the front row? And also, it was an adult comedy show. Now, the cruise lines very, very much usually, especially the ones with a dedicated comedy club, they will have comedy that's, milder, and then they will have comedy that's adult oriented. There's going to be sexuality. There's going to be jokes like that. It's going to be that in an adult comedy club. But, for instance, usually on Princess, if you hear that there's going to be a comedian in the Princess Theater at the normal show times, those will be more family oriented jokes. Very calm, very mild. But then they'll have a special one that they'll call the adult only one, and it'll be much later at night. They're not going to put an adult, comedy show at 4 in the afternoon for you to attend with your little ones. They don't do that. So they do a pretty good job of telling everybody this is what it's going to be. But I don't understand why people put themselves in a situation to be mad and be offended. I think some people just go through life like that. That's what they want to do. Like the lady I just talked about on that tender. She, like, one little thing, oh, there goes the staff captain and she's going over the iceberg. And the whole, 20, 25-minute trip into the tender, she had to complain about it the whole time. And then we heard her complaining about stuff when we were on shore. Like, everything was a complaint. Why are you even going? So if you go to a comedy club and you don't like the jokes, you can stand up and leave. But don't be surprised if the comedian goes, look, what's the matter with you? And I've been the brunt of many comedians. I've gone to comedy clubs here in Ottawa many times, and I often made the mistake of sitting in the front row. And yeah, they went hard, folks. They went hard at me. Everything from gaining weight, or why is back when I was dating, much younger days, back in my 20s. And 30s and that, and what is that girl doing with you? Oh, she could do much better. Those kind of jokes, and you just have to sit there and take it. But I didn't get mad. I didn't get upset with the comedian. I knew it was all for jokes. I knew what he was trying to do, and I knew what they were trying to do, and I knew why they were doing it. But I guess I'm not as sensitive as a lot of people out there. Not a lot offends me. I don't get offended by anything. The only thing that ever will really get me irate sometimes is if somebody questions, my honesty, or my integrity, right? I've had that situation before where somebody said that you're doing this only because of that. And you're lying because of that. And that offended me. That got me very angry. But if somebody makes a joke, hey, Don, you looks like you're gaining some weight there, buddy. It doesn't bother me. Or, hey, Don, your hair is receding now, or it's getting grayer than it used to be. Ha, ha, ha. It doesn't offend me. It just doesn't. But yeah, if I'm a person who does get offended by that, first of all, I'm not going to the comedy club. Second of all, I'm certainly not going to sit in the front row.